Hello, this is Nuka-Cola Red, making a video, as my friend recently made a video called my take on Black Lives Matter. That was his take on it. And I felt that I should make one to show my support and everything. I was the one that was talking to him that he mentioned. And I don't understand what all this crap is about. I'm sick of people acting like complete douchebags and being ignorant for the sake of being ignorant, and basically following in the mistakes that their ancestors and many generations of humans throughout all history have made, and they choose to follow in their footsteps, follow in their mistakes instead of correcting those mistakes. I don't care about your creed, your origin, what you look like. I never gave a shit about any of that stuff. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care what you do in your own time. It's not my business. I don't care if you're lesbian, gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, whatever. I don't care. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Pacific Islander, Native American, Asian. I don't care. I don't care if you're from Australia, if you're from Britain, if you're from Spain, Germany, US, Russia. I don't care if you're what kind of religion, if you have a religion. I don't care if you're Christian, Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, Jewish, Muslim. I don't care. The fact of the matter is that people do care for some strange reason about all this stuff about a person. They have no reason to. They have no right to care about what another person does. It's not them. They're not affecting them. They choose to because they just don't like those people. Sometimes they don't know why they don't like people. Sometimes they just feel that they have a reason to. Someone said that they have a reason to. And that for some reason, fighting is the only way to do anything. That's all humanity's ever been known for the past thousands and thousands of years, to the point I can't even recall all the years. It's so incomprehensible. And what's going on today is just utter crap. It's just complete crap, and it shows that humanity is failing. It's irritating, kind of hard to talk about. When our country was founded, and it's not just our country, but that's where our problem started. When our country was founded, around 200 years ago or so, the founding fathers, founding people or whatever, they chose, they found a country that was devoted to human freedom and, the rights of man and all this stuff. But then they were the biggest hypocrites, because while they were writing all that in paper and in ink, a lot of them owned their own slaves. And the issue is that a lot of them started freeing them, but the issue is that they had them. And the issue that when they found the country, there was still slaves, and that everyone is created equal except people that aren't equal apparently are created equal. So, very action of doing that set in place issues that there are generations and generations way after to have to deal with. And there's no rhyme, no reason to any of the hate, any of the racism. It's just being ignorant and choosing to be on the side of ignorance. I'm one that I can't stand for somebody choosing to be ignorant. It's the very opposite of what humanity has always strived to do, is to know more and be more enlightened and everything. But after all these years, people are still the same. there was this civil rights movement and so on, and for equal rights and equal treatment started in around 1920s, way back. I can't remember exactly, but it started then. It had a lot of support, not just from blacks, not just from whites, just everybody who wanted to make a difference. Everybody who saw that this issue would just get larger and that there's absolutely no reason why it should perpetuate itself, why we should perpetuate the issue, why it should continue at all. And that movement failed, unfortunately. Came back 1950s, 60s, can't remember, around that time. Came back again. And came back more fierce. And after all that they accomplished in that time, it still doesn't seem like it really did anything meaningful, because currently the treatment is still pretty much the same. It's just people are less polite about how bad the treatment is. They're just less polite, or they're more polite, but it's still the same treatment. Discrimination, it's extremely commonplace, and no reason for it. Those people that discriminate are just on the side of ignorance and choose not to change. When reason is staring you in the face, and nothing you do makes any logical sense in the slightest, and your human decency is in question, and that doesn't make sense at all, then it's very safe to say that you are on the side of ignorance and you choose to be ignorant, simply because you don't like accepting what somebody else thinks, or accepting some other way of thinking, or even putting yourself in someone else's shoes and just asking yourself why the hell all this crap is going on. Why do people have to fight each other for no apparent reason, and for stupid differences that don't really mean a whole lot? Basically, you're fighting each other for reasons that people 200 years ago decided was a good reason, and that doesn't seem smart to me. That seems like only complete idiots would ever think that way. And so, I'm officially saying, I haven't really said anything in this channel, but all that crap, it's stupid. And when I was talking to him about Black Lives Matter, I was saying how I hate it. And it's not because I hate the movement. I hate that it's necessary. I hate that labor unions are necessary. I hate that there needs to be things in place so people don't mistreat others. When it gets to the point where there needs to be barriers in place so that people don't abuse other people, then there's already issues. And when those institutions need to stay in place, then the issue is just continuing. It's not stopping. My dad is in a labor union. He's a bus mechanic. He's in a labor union, and it doesn't really mean a whole lot, because no matter what, the people that run his company, they see him as replaceable, even though he's their best. He's absolutely their best. He has no equal, and he has always tried to do better. Every day he's gone above and beyond. He has even gone to the point where he's taken matters in his own hands, and he's putting things on those buses. He is putting fixes on those buses, manufacturing his own parts to fix the problems that these companies put in place. They just didn't bother fixing them because they're a couple pennies per bus extra. Things that could, cut brake lines and such. My dad took it upon himself. No one asked him, no one wanted him to do this, and he fixed all those problems himself with his own parts that he paid money for. And guess what? He only gets paid a couple cents more than the guy next to him who just does oil changes. So, yeah, the union, the main thing it's keeping all those people there for is it's keeping their jobs. They don't get equal treatment, and he doesn't seem to be getting what he's owed. He has every single possible certification a school bus mechanic can possibly get. He did all that training, did all that time, and only gets paid a couple cents more than everyone else, even though he's qualified to work in every single part of a bus, all the way down to taking the entire bus apart and putting it all back together exactly how it was, if not better. And yet he gets paid only slightly more than people who do oil changes. And with Black Lives Matter, it's petty that it's needed, you know. It's petty that after 200 years, this is still going on. It still needs to go on. You know, the fact that we still need labor unions so people don't lose their jobs and get replaced by someone who's a little bit cheaper, just a couple pennies cheaper. Or why do we need this movement to be like, hey, we should get equal rights. Hey, you should start treating us good. You know, because isn't that the decent thing to do as a basic human being? Isn't that the very nature, the very definition of basic human decency, to just treat somebody how you want to be treated? So why the hell are these movements needed? Why the hell are there stupid ass white people, and just anybody for that matter, who tries to hate somebody for the sake that, you know, because they look different? To me, that's a stupid reason. There's a lot more things to hate about people. Trust me, I know. I hate people a whole hell of a lot. But I don't hate people because they look different or what they do. I save my judgments for their actions. And frankly, all these actions that everyone has continued to take, it just, to me, seems pointless, counterproductive, and like the issue is just going to continue to go on until people start treating each other correctly and stop judging everybody and just basically get more enlightened. Human nature by itself is chaotic and destructive. That doesn't mean human nature is bad. It's just different. The issue is that people often try not to understand things, and they often look for something to hate or something to rally behind, even if that thing that they're rallying against is another person. Police are, well, first of all, our government was established to serve the people, not to oppress the people. The people wouldn't put in power a government that was oppressing them, seeing as how they came from a government that was oppressing them, you know. And what government I'm talking about that they came from was the monarchies over in Europe. They came from the, you know, monarchy in Britain. That, you know, many other colonists came from other places, but the main settling ones came from Britain, which is the UK now. And so they came here to get under a rule of, you know, oppression and all this stuff. And then they founded one, but then when they founded it, by founding it the way they did, they were hypocrites, owning slaves and saying all people are created equal. But the founding of a government, people don't initially settle or make a government so they can oppress them. They make a government so they can serve them and they can better propel their society forward and keep them organized and on the right track, right? Not to oppress them, not to censor them. I wouldn't just meet a new friend, right? Just so that he can make me feel worse, right? I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to make a company that just oppresses everybody and just rips me off and takes my money. No. And the cops, they were established to try to create law, order, and to serve the public, serve the public, the public alongside, right? Public and the police are supposed to serve each other hand in hand. The police are there to help keep peace, and not just through force. They're meant to do so through other means, such as, you know, like if there's a dispute, like if you and your neighbor have a dispute, right, the cop is supposed to go in there if necessary, and he's supposed to be a mediator. He's supposed to be there as a unbiased mediator, someone who doesn't care what you look like or what you do. He's just there doing his job. That's what a cop is supposed to do. They're also supposed to protect people. They're supposed to work alongside their community, right? Get to know the community, get to know them better, and how best to serve them, and how the community can help serve them, or help them in their mission. So, what I mean by help serve them, right? If the cops know you, they know a person, right? If you're somebody that's just in charge of keeping the peace, right? And you know people, and everyone gets along, and you help everyone, then they'll start helping the cops, right? Or the cops will just be able to know who's like how to point out people that are probably causing the issues, right? I'm not trying to say that to be biased or anything, just because someone's different, but when people aren't afraid to talk to the police, more will get done. When people aren't afraid or aren't nervous about talking to them, then you'll be able to discuss issues clear, and they'll be able to get more accurate information. But when the cops are not doing their job, that doesn't help. Especially when people don't even want to go up to a cop. It really doesn't help. They're supposed to keep the peace, not antagonize to cause unrest. At that point, they should be fired. The people on top should be fired as well. The second that stuff happens, anyone involved should be fired. The people on top, the only reason why they should be fired, I mean the police chiefs and justice and everything, is because they're the cause of the issue. A person that has a sound mind, right, and good judgment wouldn't hire people or wouldn't allow people on the force that made stupid decisions, that didn't do stupid crap that's against their job, no matter what they believe. Because it doesn't matter what the hell you believe. You're serving the public. You're serving other people, and so you have to put your petty differences beside because you're doing your job. It's not all about you or all about what you think. It's about your job. That's what's first. Your job and how to do it correctly. And so the people on top, the reason why I'm saying this is a problem that goes so far deeper than just the police you see, just the police chief. It goes to the point where it's the Justice Department and the courts and stuff. If the person on top that administrates all this stuff and decides who gets to stay and decides who is capable and who is mentally stable, if they're the reason that cops exist that are just jerks that do all this crap, because they don't say you can't be a cop. If they were doing their job correctly, they would say you cannot be a cop because you're mentally unsound and you have a tendency to hate people because of some specific reason, If those people were doing their jobs right, those people wouldn't be cops and none of these issues would be happening. But since they're not doing their job right because they also have the same problems that the people they hire, then they are the issue. Courts are the same. Courts are often run by people just like that. And they're often in areas where they can basically get people like on the juries and stuff like that, and and just be in places where they feel that they have more power. And then they get to the point where they're not. They're acting way out of the lines of their job, their position, because they try people unethically and wrong, and they don't go about it the proper way. They don't follow the proper procedures. America's justice system. There's a statue. It's a woman, and she's blindfolded, and she has a scale in one arm. I can't remember what's in the other arm, if there's anything, but the scale is supposed to represent, fairness in court, and all that. So, and not saying someone's guilty beforehand. They're innocent before proven guilty. You got to weigh the evidence. I was talking to my friend Toasty, and I was telling him how, to me, Like, for instance, if there's a murder case, right? There's a case where a person died, and then without context, all anyone knew was that this guy killed that guy. And then if you add context, and the story I was talking about was, what if this guy and his girlfriend or whoever was getting mugged by 5 other dudes, and the guy pulled a gun on him, so then the dude decided to kill him instead of being killed, and then the person he was with getting killed. So he killed that guy. But the guy that killed that guy happened to be black. And this is when basically context goes out the window for a lot of people in the justice departments. Not everyone, but a lot. The bad apples, basically, the bad apples that spoil the bunch. So then when they're going in a court and they're putting this through trial, they say, what did he do? And then they wait. They say, oh, he killed a guy, right? And then immediately, without context, that looks like, wow, he's a terrible person. He was in the wrong. But then they didn't mention what happened. They didn't mention the other guy had a gun, and they didn't mention that there was 5 other dudes with him, and that they are all looking to kill both of them and mug them and whatever they're going to do. They were just flipping back in that context. Now, if they're doing their job properly, this is how it would go down. What did he do? Well, he was this is what the judge would be saying. He was if he was explaining to somebody, he was acting self-defense, and he killed a person in self-defense. He killed him, because he had no other option. He was either killed or be killed. And even in that case, it doesn't mean that killing was right. The guy didn't know killing wasn't right. It was just the only option. And at that point, the scales sort of balance out. He still killed somebody, but it's not because he wanted to kill him. It's because his whole life was threatened, and the person he was with, their life was threatened. So he decided to take action. It's not right to sit there and let yourself get hurt or killed. If the time comes and you have the ability, you need to do something. Doesn't mean kill. It just means if the time comes, you have to take action. And so when the scales are weighed in this instance, it's more balanced out. The guy has still killed somebody, but he didn't kill him because he wanted to. It's a different circumstance other than just saying he murdered that dude and here's the proof he's dead. So the courts are also the issue. And I was telling him the main reason why I was like, and I think I already said this, the main reason why I really just didn't care about the entire situation is because I'm sick of all this crap still happening after all these years. So many centuries, not just for the US, but centuries in human existence. It's just, I'm sick of all this stuff going on. I don't want my kids to grow up, and their kids to grow up, and their kids' kids to grow up, and have to be a part of any of this. Why should any human being have to be a part of any of this crap? It doesn't make any sense to me why anybody should be a part of any of this. This shouldn't even be happening. I see everybody who's a human as human. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, Native American, whatever, you're human. And like he was saying, and this is what I was discussing with him, all of our bodies function exactly the same. There's nothing different about us besides our slight appearance, right? Slight appearance. And I was telling him that those are mainly due to ecological, environmental, basically where a person originates, where this group originates. So, for instance, a lot of people in Europe, they're white. Why? Because there's a lot of times there's less sun there, right? And then there's many other things I understand because I'm not a geneticist and all this crap. But the further down you go, the darker people get. And I know it sounds messed up, but I'm just saying, right? You got the Native Americans. They developed on over here for a long time. And they are more lighter skinned in terms of the people in the north than the people that were down in South America. It's all due to their environments and how their bodies have adapted over countless generations. It's just how they have adapted to deal with their surroundings, and so that's why it doesn't make sense to me. Why are you treated differently because of how we look? It doesn't make any sense to me. You all function exactly the same. It's not when people use the word race, I hate that word. I don't care. I hate that word. To me, race would have to imply that there's some underlying significant difference, as in our bodies function significantly differently, you know, but they don't. When they say ethnic groups, I kind of get that, but still, that's another point where people are just putting others into other groups, right? They're separating things, and over years, it becomes segregation. It becomes to the point where people are just separating others for no reason other than that they don't understand, or that they don't care to understand, or that they don't care about these people because they look different, so that they decide, hey, well, no one's going to mind if we put them in a different group. And if we treat them different, no one's going to mind. But we're all human beings. We all function the same, and like my friend said, we all bleed the same. We all piss the same, we all shit the same. We eat the same. Not the same foods, not the same way, but it goes in the same way for the most part. So, why all these differences? Why all this hate? Why all this nonsense and unnecessary violence that continues to go on? It's going to keep going on, and it's enough to make a person go crazy. Honestly is. And I just wish it didn't have to continue. I wish none of this shit ever happened. Wish none of this crap would just never happen. Because the only thing it's doing is it's hurting humanity, it's hurting our planet, fighting and disagreeing and being selfish and greedy, all these things that are human nature. So all they're doing for us is holding us back. Living in ignorance for the sake of being ignorant is holding us back. And to me, that's not a good reason. It's not a good reason to hold humanity back, to hold people back. It's not a good reason to separate people and treat other people differently, even when they're officially supposed to be fair, treated fairly, have equal rights, but then it's not really showing anywhere. You look around and all you see is inequality. You try not to look at it because it's just irritating to the point where you want to hurt somebody, but that's not the solution. Hurting people won't solve anything. Hurting people will make you feel good at the time, but then once you see the after effects and everything that would happen after you have done that act, after you did that, it's not worth it. Violence is not the answer. Violence only comes when you're threatened. Violence doesn't solve problems, it creates problems. And so I've been a very violent person at times, not really hurt people, but I've tried not to hurt people. I've done a lot of things my friend already knows about. Me and him have been in the same exact boat. That's how we met. We met because me and him were in the same exact boat. We were put in a specific school because no one else in our entire area, no other school for thousands of miles could even understand us or even wanted to try to understand the issues that were going on inside of us. They refused to understand this. They just thought it'd be easier to just kind of ignore us, right? Put us in a corner and then just let us do our thing and think, oh, well, they're not going to get anywhere anyways because, they're just going to fail and die and probably, wind up on the street or something, They don't matter. It's not like it hasn't happened before, right? That's the kind of treatment I had. That's the kind of treatment he had. It's not pleasant. And it really opens up your eyes and gives you a good view and perspective on people and human nature. And it's not just happening in one school. He's been to like 4 or 5 schools. I've been to like 4 or 5 schools as well. I've had so many incidents that I can't even remember half of them. And the ones I do remember, I only remember like 2 of them with perfect clarity. He's the same. Because after a while it just blends together, just chaos and just stupidity and people being stupid. And I'm sick of it. I wish I didn't go through any of that, but that'd be a lie. Because if I didn't go through any of that hardship, I would never have met my best friend. If I didn't go through any stuff, if I didn't take the time to learn what a terrible person is because I was one, and I never had issues and I never tried to understand these issues, I'd never be the person I was today. I would never be an understanding, kind person. Someone who seems kind and patient, but underneath you don't want to piss him off. But he'll do everything in his power to make your life better, because he only wants to see others succeed. That's how I am. I only want to see others succeed. I want to see everyone succeed around me. But often I lack the power to do that. Not, well, physically, that'd be getting into altercations, and that's not the answer. That causes more problems. I know that. But lacking the power because it's not your place, or, who's going to listen to one person, right? What's one person going to do? One person can actually do a whole hell of a lot. But it's not my place at the moment. It's a lot of people, it's not their place at the moment. And it's not easy either. Not easy trying to help other people and putting them ahead of yourself, and then having them see that all you're trying to do is help them. And all you're trying to do is get them to see the light and teach them things and make them understand and just educate people. It's not easy. People are stubborn at times. And I'm honestly amazed I'm even alive currently with all the shit I've been through and all the crap I was thinking in my head for so long because people are assholes. And so, unless all that needs to continue with people just being people and fighting for no apparent reason and destroying our society, just just putting people into groups and then just separating them and expecting it to go well and the problem not to continue for years and years to come, then, they're idiots. They're idiots. They need to stop this. So, the point of all this is that the whole issue, and this is not just because of the George Floyd's death. No. This is because I've been wanting to say this, and it needs to be said. It's been said so many times, but why not say it again? Why not have another person say it, and another person say it, and another person say it until, you kind of think it's a broken record. Humanity needs to unite, and people need to stop fighting for stupid ass reasons. All lives matter. They really do. I was telling my friend, it was after he made that video, because I was just making sure he understood what I was saying. I see Black Lives Matter as a necessary step. It's a driving force to get one group of people. Well, other people see it as a group. I just see them as people. But to get these people to try to push towards equality. And then once they push for equality, other groups that have felt oppressed and have felt like they don't matter, it'll give them the chance to matter. It'll give them the chance to push up, to end all this nonsense and this bullshit that's been going on. So, that's my take on Black Lives Matter and this entire issue that's been going on for so long. Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and once one group gets to finally push through this crap, the other groups will follow, and then our society will be freer, hopefully. Anyways, humanity first. Humanity first. We are humans. We all work the same. We bleed the same. Function pretty much the same. So why should we treat each other differently if we're so similar? This has been Nuka-Cola Red, signing off.